Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Knock your ass. Knock your ass. Welcome to another episode of Blackish Recap right here on AfterBuzz TV, episode 5, Crime and Punishment. I'm your host, Megan Thomas, and who are you, lovely hosts?
Hey everyone, hope you ain't got knocked out this week, but I am your host, Stacey Ike.
And I'm your host, Courtney Tezeno.
Yes, and so I actually really enjoyed this episode because this is something, especially in Black households, that we all just kind of know that happens.
Right,
you know what I mean? And is when you get whooped, okay?
I love how they were so specific with the words. They whooped. Well, actually, I lied. They use beat all the time too, and so yeah.
Beat,
they said
spanking,
they use all
whoop,
the.
spanking.
They used every word. That was pretty funny. I didn't expect it.
And they didn't say whipping; they said whooping.
Right.
With that double O or a U, depending on what you like to use. Okay, so the episode starts off with Jack hiding from his mom in a store, and Rainbow is having a conniption. That is so. Has that ever happened to y'all before? Where y'all like did something and your mom was like looking for you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing that you don't do. You learn your lesson that first time and you stop doing it.
But why did you learn your lesson though? Did you get beat?
Oh, yes.
I got yelled at. And that, like, I remember the first, we were younger, when one was my mom, if you got yelled at, that was, like, almost enough.
Right.
So, yeah, there were some shoes that did fly a couple times. For sure.
Oh, my
I
God.
won't deny the heels. I will not deny the heels.
Well, that's probably why Jack is as bad. I don't really like to use that word, but he's bad. Because he's never been, I guess, punished appropriately for hiding. So we see that he continues to do this. And I had to laugh when I saw this because this is exactly kind of what happened to me when I was like 4. I'll never forget. We lived at Fort Knox, and I was at the Post Exchange store, and my mom was going nuts looking for me. And she even like...
And you heard her.
Yeah, like I heard it, but I was like, whatever. And I was just walking around, and I didn't even care. And then I couldn't find her. And then I was just like, well, I always hear them on the PA system. So I was smart enough to go and tell them, I was like, I don't know where my mom is. Her name is Son Thomas. And so they announced her name in the store. They were like, Son Thomas, your daughter is at customer service. Please come to customer service. So the whole store heard it. And she was so embarrassed that she was mad because she was frantic trying to find me. So she said exactly what Bo says to Jack, which is when we get home, your dad is going to spank you.
And that's what happened to me too. My dad did all of the whoopings.
And I was just like, whatever. And when we got home, my dad was ready. We had a paddle. Like he said, we're not going to get the switch today. Today, you get the paddle.
It's so funny how like they waited. He was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to whoop you. Okay, on Thursday, let me schedule it down.
See,
I was like, that's
our
really...
parents, they did it that day, the day, like right after work. It was no like waiting for anything.
There were definitely days I went to school and then like on the way, they're like, but when you get home, like you're getting a whooping. I was like, and so just seeing it like on TV like that, I was like, this is so, like that's exactly how it happened.
Right, because we're in a society where you're not supposed to beat your kids.
Yeah.
But who said that?
It's not even...
It's politically incorrect to beat them.
Okay, so what's the alternative? The talk? Because, I mean, we see what that does. It doesn't do much. Like, he cried a little.
Well, he cried. But, I mean, I think in this society, it's just not okay. Like, I know we were talking earlier about football player Adrian Peterson, right?
Yeah, so the reason that I thought it was so crazy that the episode aired at this time is because, I would say about a month and a half, we dealt with Adrian Peterson and everything was happening with him and his kid. Now, to be
Explain what happened, because some people don't know what happened.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the football player, took a switch to his kid, and there were a lot of scars and, like bruises that were shown.
He beat him for real.
So it was a little bit of a problem because his, he got in trouble with the league and he got suspended this, that, and the third. And it came at the same time around Ray Rice. So they were like, okay, punishment after punishment after punishment. So, you know what I mean? So I think just seeing that instance, and there was so much evidence, there's so many scars. I don't think I've probably had a couple bruises in life.
Well, I had a couple of welts, bruises.
Right. Like, but it was hard because seeing all of the scars, I mean, you guys should have seen it.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of his son's legs.
It was tough because you're like, okay, he probably lost control. Does that make him a bad father?
Or didn't know his own strength. Yes. I mean, you're dealing with a child.
Like
and
a 2-year-old.
That one switch
could
Of
give a
course
well.
it's gonna leave a scar.
So then when does it become abuse then? Because of course we see like if Andre decided he was going to spank Jack, how far should he have gone before it was considered abuse? Is leaving a mark abuse?
See, but no, I don't think any parent, unless
But you don't
there's
intentionally do it.
I don't think a parent goes into it. I'm going to discipline my child and make sure there's a bruise so they remember it tomorrow. No, I mean, I'm going to say no parent. I'm sure that's not true, but I don't think the intention of a parent who's just trying to discipline their child and teach them the way is like.
But that's what I'm saying. So when does it become abuse? Because even if you didn't, if your intention was to teach them a lesson so they didn't continue to do their bad behavior, you could beat them black and blue.
But see,
so that's what I'm saying. What's the line?
I don't know if we have a specific line. I think when we were younger, it was more acceptable. If you got a welt, that means you learn your lesson and you're not going to do it anymore.
Right.
And I think we live in a society now where like everyone's crying like, oh, CPS or abuse. And in this situation, Adrian Peterson, I don't know. But for my parents, you know, they did a great job raising me. And there were times where I had to get a whooping to learn my lesson. And I'm the person I am today. So I don't really know the line because it's a belt. It's a switch. Like, what do you expect to come from that?
I remember my dad told my 3rd grade teacher to whoop me. Like, he was like,
oh, my 1st grade teacher.
I remember her. Oh my gosh.
But you got an African dad too. That's like, it takes a bit like.
No, my dad, like, what are you going to say?
Her dad didn't even seem like he would whoop.
My dad is extremely soft. Like, he is so soft. Literally, like, I'm more scared of my mom, like, to this day.
Right.
He is like a teddy bear. Daddy, I'm so sorry.
Right.
And he'll just curl up like, I mean, I hope you don't watch this episode.
Right. He's gonna be like, that's over.
We really think. I'm just like, he's just so soft. I mean, yes, I'm not going to say he never disciplined us, but just like when Jack cried when his dad said, I'm disappointed, that's what happened to me. I was 15. I lied to my dad for the first time. That has never happened since. I probably never lied to him since that day. He was like, I'm so disappointed in you. And I like cried for 2 days.
And I think it depends on your child.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
What kind of child you have. You have to know them.
Yeah, and I was one of 4. So my dad, like the whole everyone joining together for a group spanking, like that was real.
Yes.
He took care of us. He took care of us all at once.
Right.
And we learned our lesson. You don't butt in when I'm taking care of one of them, and you go sit down.
Okay, so what do you think about what Rainbow says, which is she tells Jack, your father is going to spank you when you get home. Do you feel like that is appropriate for a parent to do, or should they be like, should each parent handle the discipline instead of relying on the other one to handle the discipline?
I wasn't mad at it because if we go to stereotypical gender roles, that made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I probably can still see that to this day. I can still see my mom being like, your dad's gonna discipline you, even though it'll be different in terms of the way they do it. She'll still have to talk to my dad like, did you hear this? What your son did? You better talk to him. It's like, you standing right. Literally, I'll be like, Mom, you could talk to me. No, she would wait for him to have the talk, so.
And that is based on a relationship. Like if your parents have that, I'm going to do the spanking and you're going to do the talking to, I mean, those are their specific marital roles. I don't even think it's a gender thing because you said you're more scared of your mom. And she could have a talk with you that would hurt you more than that spanking. It's all up to what they decide is best fit for their children. So I think that's.
And she should not have whooped him in the store.
Why? I agree with what Dre said, which is those dressing rooms are little beating booths. No. That is so true. You don't know how many times I've been in a church where there was a bathroom, or when I've been in a dressing room and next door I was like, oh, and my little heart just went out for them, like, oh, you got beat, Ray. Oh, you should have did that, man. I feel so bad for you, but you deserve it. So
I think the anticipation is better. Having the anticipation, knowing you're going home and like thinking about it, that hurts more than anything. Before anybody hits the button. Yes.
To be like all day you at school, like, man, I'm about to get beat when I get home. Like, you try to have a good day. I think that's bad, though. I think that would crush your child's spirit for the day. They would just be like,
well, then they know not to do it again.
Then they definitely know not to do it again.
But I feel like if you don't beat your child, you should just do it when they mess up.
No, you can do that too. I mean, whatever works. It was just because she put it on somebody, Dre, to do it instead of her doing it. But it's so funny because Michael T-Mont, shout out to him. He's on Black Tea Party for Black Hollywood Live. And we had a huge argument about this when it came to Adrian Peterson. And he was saying that science proves that you should not beat your kids at all. Like there's no positive trend to it. Beating your kids means they're a certain way. And we argued, I mean, for a good hour about it. He was like, the science is out. You don't beat your kids. Why would you? And then I was like, well, what about a whooping? He's like, so you don't beat nonviolence. I'm like, I'm confused.
I know, but in a way, we think about it, I think as I've heard it before, as a culture, for Black people, our mentality is like you whoop your kids. But where does that come from? So a lot of people would say that it's from slavery. We have it conditioned in our head that beating is how you get somebody to do what you need them to do, how you get them to do what's right. Because we don't really see as many in white families. I don't see that as much. It's not as prevalent because we even see that when Dre goes and he talks to his coworkers And they were like, yeah, the one guy was like, I never got beat.
But he was one out of everyone.
Yeah, but
Right.
we saw how he turned out. It wasn't that great.
And then, of course, we see that his boss said that, yes, he got whooped with stuff. And then the Indian girl said she got a rolling pin cracked on her head. Like, this is violence.
Intense, yes.
But what does this do to our children, though? All this violence? Because we say, yeah, it keeps you from doing bad stuff. But at the same time, does this create like a culture of fear with our children because they don't want to come to us because they're afraid they're going to get whooped or beat?
It's hard because like, I mean, when I say I'm scared of my mom, I just know, like, don't screw up. She's not going to whoop me now. Like, I better be out that whooping pole, I hope. But,
according to Pops, you never get too old because you still have an ass.
It's
That's what Pops said.
I was like, damn.
An ass is an ass and is an ass.
Right.
Perfect episode. Anyway, I don't know. I think it's hard to say because I want to say that parents are allowed to make their own decisions, but the thing is, you're right. We live in 2014. The cops, the media, we are involved in everyone else's household. So it's hard to say what the line is and what it's doing to our kids, but I don't want it to be just a black-white thing, but I understand like how that looks. I just don't want to be like, oh, my parents whooped me because of slavery. I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to say that. I don't, you know what I mean?
My mom's Korean, but I would rather my dad beat me with a switch that I picked off a tree than my mother beat me because Korean and Asian people in general torture their children.
Do they?
It's torturous. I remember being 5 years old and my dad was out of town, so I was like, whatever, we're gonna do whatever we want. And me and my brother, and I remember she put me in this corner and told me to put my arms up like this for 5 minutes.
Yes.
And she stood right there and she had these rulers, and if I dropped my arm, she would smack me right under here. And I remember going, oh, my arms are tired.
Oh my god.
And I was like, where's my dad with a switch? Like, I need a switch. I don't need this torturous stuff.
One time my dad made me stand up. I had to like put my back legs in the air, so is my back hand, and I'm just like standing.
That was your punishment?
That was my punishment. Death, girl, death.
I mean, that's great.
Besides, I think it's creative.
I mean, it is very creative. I mean, mine was very old-fashioned. Mine was basically like Pops. We all have names on our belts.
Are you serious?
We all
Y'all
have
had
our
individual.
That is
4 different belts with your name on it, and you know when it's coming out. So I mean, we're gonna leave it at that.
So
with
funny.
the spankings.
I need to call your mama. Oh, that's funny.
No, we need
I
to call
her.
CPS.
No.
That's being organized. That's being
So
organized
funny.
punishment.
What's the
I
worst
love
thing you
it.
got beat with?
belt buckle. That was like in
Oh my
Texas
gosh.
belt buckle with, at the end of it. That's
Like
it.
the one that Dre threw away, like one of those big belt buckles.
Yes. Yes.
That's
We're gonna leave it at
wow.
that.
What'd you get me with?
A switch was probably the worst thing.
Yeah, I got
A
me
little
with-
twig from
yeah,
the car,
like,
from the tree.
That was the
Ooh.
worst. I remember
That was-
we had
yeah.
these woods behind my house, and my dad was like, "Go pick your switch."
Yes.
And I remember just being out there for like an hour, like do, and he was like, "You got 5 seconds." I'm like, man. And I tried to get like the little old one that broke,
Yes,
like,
when
and
they
he was
try to
like,
make
"No."
us pick our switch. I'm like, are you really trying
my
to?
God.
What's
And I would
going
like
on right now?
slap him on my hand to see like, is this gonna hurt? And then I got a little twig one day. It was like so
Yes.
dry. It was like kindling.
So
It was like
funny.
what you put in a fire.
The thing
So,
is,
I was gonna say, so basic. What I thought was interesting about this episode is that I thought there were a couple of gender biases, like with Zoe, where she felt like, oh, I'm not gonna get a whooping, but I see
Right.
like we didn't have that issue.
Yeah, right,
No,
right,
But I
right.
think it's because their family, they didn't whoop. And Junior was probably, he's probably a younger. Little boys tend to be a little more rough. So it's, you tend to have a little more problems with little boys because they're just balls of energy. They want to destroy stuff. It's just what a boy does.
Right.
So I can see why they would whoop Jack and not her, because she probably was a dainty little girl and she wanted to do tea parties. But it's funny because, of course, you say that she was like, I'm not going to get beat. Like, I'm the
Right,
girl.
She knew, yeah.
Right. And so it's funny that you say that, because I think also most of the times, we think as girls that we're not going to get beat, and we probably don't get beat as worse as boys. You guys have
No.
brothers?
Not nearly.
Yes.
Yet too older.
Yeah.
And I feel like my brother got worse beatings than I did.
I learned my lesson from them.
Yeah. I feel like they just got way more like overall, how do you say it? Not necessarily, I don't want to use punishment, but I guess so. Just a lot more, go to your room, and more yelling than we did. You could have my dad. I mean, I would get a beating, and then 5 minutes later he'd be in my room apologizing. Are you okay? I apologize. Did you learn your lesson? It's like,
So
okay,
what
yeah,
impact?
whatever.
I mean, I know we don't have a male on the panel, but what impact does that have on a man? How does that make him a better man if he gets
Scary
a worse
question.
whooping?
Scary question.
I think I just think of what abuse has on everyone. I mean, I still would you guys whoop your kids
Yeah. Yes.
the way you got whooped?
No, not nearly. Not nearly as bad. I think it depends on the circumstance. I don't think every circumstance deserved that type of punishment, but I do think it helped me. So I would. Yeah.
I'm not gonna take out spanking for my family. I think it was definitely a necessity in my household. So yeah, I just don't know if I'll have organized belts. I don't think I'll be ready. I think my closet will be too full of other stuff.
You know what? I want to say I want to say I'm not going to whip my children. I think
you
it would be.
are so gonna whip your kids.
No, but I don't. Here's the thing. I don't really want to. I was always an advocate for spanking. Spank and beat your kids. They need it. There's nothing wrong with it. But then as I get older, I really feel like I would rather do what Dre did and have a talk with my child. But you do have to know your children. Sometimes it doesn't work with them. Sometimes you got to get creative with the punishments. But
I
just
pick up on it.
But still, I don't feel like you should have to put your hands on your children to discipline them. I think there's more creative ways. I think, honestly, I think beating is the easy way out. It's the easy way. You don't have to think about what to do. You don't, let me get something, a Hot Wheels track, or a belt, whatever is closest to you to beat your children. When as a parent, you should take your time and go, you know what else can I do? What does my child love that I could take away from them that would hurt their heart if they weren't able to do?
But I think that is, I know with my parents, like it was the whooping and then the punishment. Like the whooping was just like, you will never do this again. But they also took things from you, grounded you. They knew I love the phone. You cannot touch that house phone. So there were different things that for each child that they did. But I think the foundation was to let you know at this moment that was wrong. Don't ever do it again. And this is the pain of it. The rest is going to come within this ground.
And I wish I wish they would have showed what Jack's punishment was.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a time thing for me. I feel like Jack's age to maybe a little bit younger than Junior was whooping stage, and then after that you got cell phone, you got this. So my dad was so slick. Instead of taking our phone, he would take our phone charger. Girl,
that's creative.
That's
creative.
Wait, really? Girl, we think we were living high. Then 9 p.m. you try to charge your phone, dead.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the way. I feel like that is like what you do to your child.
Kill me.
Right? Instead of having to whoop them, they over here like, oh my gosh, I can't talk to my friends or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter.
Really tragic.
You know what I mean? I just think that that's way more effective. So then, of course, we see that Dre's coworkers turn on him when he says that he's gonna beat Jack, and everybody's like, no, you don't beat your kids for real. You just say that. He's too cute.
I wrote that down in abstract, but not your own kid. I was like, what does that mean?
That means, like, in theory, like, okay, so it's a good idea. You should beat your kids.
But
then when you really, not like really. Like, everyone likes the idea of disciplining their children, but when it comes to it, how many parents nobody really wants to whip their kids.
Nobody wants to.
And that was one thing I thought was so cool, because we aren't parents, but we got to see the guilt that parents have of beating their children. So
they don't like it.
They hate it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I could never tell that my dad didn't like whipping me. Because I remember I remember all my beatings, and my very last beating was the worst one. Because I remember going into my room like, no one loves me. I hate. And then my dad was like, you want punishment for a week? You don't get no TV, no phone, nothing. So I made me a paper Nintendo and was playing with it.
Oh my God.
Man.
I was so sad.
Creativity.
I was like, no one loves me. So I'm looking at this.
Like, kids know how to do that these days.
I feel like as a parent, right. Oh my gosh. I feel like I love what Dre did in terms of explaining it and breaking it down. Because I remember, even though I did get the beating, every time came an explanation. Because he was like, not going to let you just walk around like, I just got whooped and go to your. Because one time, actually, that's a different story. We're going to leave it for another time. So explanation is how you kind of reel them in and have them understand. Because kids are crazy. They'll go to school and be like, I got beat at school thinking it's funny. Yeah. And then, Child Protective Services at your door.
Yeah, let us know what you think about whooping your children or somebody else's kids. Would you beat them?
All right.
Where should they go?
Be sure to check us out on iTunes. Comment, rate, subscribe. We do read all of your comments, and we need those stars. Also, head over to YouTube and watch everything crazy behind the scenes and what me and my girls are doing on Blackish. Also, comment. And this week, we had an amazing comment that we want to share with you guys.
Yeah, we want to start shouting out your comments that you leave us. So there's a comment left on our last episode, which was episode 4. And this one was left by Trey Devon. Stacey with that dark skin. Kissy face emoji. Does she do any modeling? I feel like I'd like to see her as nature made her. With that skin, I bet she looks like she's glowing.
This is Stacey's first time hearing this.
Thank you for that, Trey Devin. We love your comments. You have a big fan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a little speechless, which is really rare. Thank you. That was extremely sweet. They were hiding it from me. I was like, what did we miss? I promise to keep in touch. Thank you. You're very sweet.
And of course, Diamond Daydreamer also says, I have heard rigmarole before. It's definitely used. Remember, it's like, that's not a real word. I mean, we've all heard it, but we just didn't know rigmarole. We didn't think it was a real word. We just thought it was a fake word.
What was that?
So yes, of course, back to the spanking. So it happens again. Jack is at home and he hides again. The whole household is now looking for him, and he busts out of the cabinet like, ha ha, y'all can find me. Do you think he should have got beat right then before school?
Absolutely.
Heck yes. I was like, what do you mean? Pops, back up. Get your whooping now. Let him dry his tears before he gets off the bus. Like,
right.
I think that could have settled everything, and then have the talk after school. He needed it. Because the second time, no.
That kid was dry. He was like, ha ha. I'm like,
and I think that's what happens when you don't discipline, like when you don't nip it in the bud, then it just gets bigger and it blossoms, and it gets to a point where you like, how did we get here? Because you didn't whoop them the day that they hid in that place.
Even when she was like, I told you dad was soft, that was like,
and they know that already. See, that's sad. Like you never need to know that your parents are soft like that. And one other thing, when he was in his whooping, he was thinking about another hiding spot. That means you didn't do your job.
That was hilarious. Or the kid is just that cute, because that's all. I was like, this kid is hilarious.
Right. And so then we also see that the kids think that they can. I love how they come together and they're just like, okay, let's see how we can get Jack out this whooping. And of course, they use the whole "mom could save us." Have you guys ever tried to pit your mom against your dad?
100%.
No.
Really?
No.
They're a united front the whole time?
They are united. I mean, my mom is the person just like Bo that'll go to my dad and be like, all right, handle this. I had to talk with her. And they are just together on it. Like, that's just how they are.
Yeah, I used to do that. And then my dad quickly told my mother, he was like, we're on the team, not with them.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what you mean? So like me and my brother, like, we like out here not on the team.
Right. We
and yeah, and then it didn't work anymore.
But mama definitely sympathizes once you've already gotten beat. She's there.
Right. She's the one that'll hug you and be like, it's okay.
See, that's funny. It's complete opposite. I would have to be like, Dad, can you tell mom not to yell or whatever? And he'd be like, whatever. And I'm just like, this is hilarious. It was so funny how reversed they were, but they were both there for the whippings. They both cared at the end,
Right.
They both cared.
And so, of course, they use a little reverse psychology on the kids. The kids are like, you whoop Jack, you're going to have to whoop all of us. Have y'all done that before? I've never done that.
I've never done that. Davis, you did it yourself. So.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel bad for you. That little walk of shame he had to do, I'm right there with
you. Like dead man walking.
Exactly. Right, just like that.
Just like Diane said. And I just loved how they went back in the room and they said, Jack, sorry, nope. Yeah, and Jack was like, even you, Diane, you my twin. And she was like, no, friend, we're not identical.
We're not identical.
I died. Loved it.
Oh, shout out to Marsai Martin. She's so cute. I love her.
Great
She's my favorite of all the kids.
Yeah, she's a good. Her career is like on the rise. It's beautiful.
She's like the face of Meineke too.
Oh my god.
She is. If you see the commercials, she's like, she's so cute.
She's so cute. So adorable.
Is that y'all's favorite kid?
Definitely.
I think she is, especially in this episode when she she had her hair wrapped in the robe. Did you see her? I was like,
that's the first thing.
I was like, but hold up, this is like my little sister. Like, this is so cute. Oh my gosh, I think Junior, he's not necessarily my favorite, but he's so awkward. It is so freaking funny. Yes, he's so funny. He's like, wait, me? It's like, what is that face? What are you doing? So I think they're just a great union. But shit, yeah, Diane's adorable.
I just like to. I feel like Diane and darn it, I can't remember his name. Jack. Mm-hmm. Diane and Jack are so different, and they're twins. It shows how like girls kind of mature a little faster,
right?
Because she's just like she knows what she wants.
No, she's mature, way more mature than Junior.
Yeah,
like,
she is.
She knows gubernatorial stuff. Like, I'm like, what? Right. How do you know what these things are? And then I love the fact that Pops gives Dre his Hot Wheels track that he used to get beat with. I think that's kind of
he was shivering on that, like having flashbacks.
Right. I know. That wooden paddle we had at our house, if my dad ever tried to give me that, I would burn it. I'd be like, I will put this in a fireplace. I don't want to ever see this again.
Yeah. And why did you say that? Like, you actually moved from where you were to my house with that same thing.
Right.
No.
Okay, so then, of course, the walk of shame that we were talking about, Jack goes to the room and everybody's like, oh, he's going to get beat. And then Dre has the talk with Jack. Do you think... It seemed to be effective because it changed his demeanor and he was sad and he cried that his dad said he was disappointed.
That hurts. I mean, I didn't think as a child it would have hurt me. I would have been like, disappointed. Oh.
Well, I got away with that one.
Right, exactly. Right. But at a certain age, I think once you're like teenage, older, when they say disappointed, that's like, whoa, you just messed up big time.
Right. I don't even want to beat you.
I know.
I'm just like sad. It's like, oh my gosh, dang, I suck. Like it's tragic.
And then of course when he leaves out, he's crying. Pops of all people picks him up and was like, "I told you to spank him, not crush his spirit."
Grandparents are the funniest. They will do you so wrong, and then they will spoil the kids and bring them home back to you.
I'm like, but you're confusing. What's your message here?
It's like, cut a pawpaw.
Yes, they are. Grandparents, they love you to death, and it's just like revenge. Like, you put your kids through all of this, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna spoil your kids because this is what you deserve right now.
He was so funny when he was like, your dad is a monster.
When you were just about to go beat him.
Right, I'm like, really though? That was perfect.
Okay, what do y'all think about, would you rather have a beating or I'm a disappointed talk? Like, which is worse, I should say?
Ooh, like right now?
Well, back when, at the age you were when you were getting whoopings. When you understood when you understood what it meant for your parents to be disappointed in you, would you rather have gotten beat or disappoint? Like, which is worse, the beating or the disappointment discussion?
For me, I would love the discussion because the beating was just no. I mean, you just have to sit down. You couldn't sit down. So I think the discussion and the disappointment, you can think about it. Yeah, it does hurt, but that's more mature to me.
Right.
So I can handle that than like, ugh. I'm sorry, you can't even see what I'm doing, guys, but like
just clutching your butt cheeks.
Yeah, no,
clutching your cheeks.
So I think for me, the talk.
I think the talk is the worst for me because I just remember my first, like, you know, I was on the phone with the boy, definitely lied and said it was my girl best friend, realizing he definitely knows who she is, and he's like, let me borrow the phone. I'm like, no, life is over. Like, he was like, I'm really disappointed that you lied to me. Walked out. I'm like, I mean, it was the worst. Like, I've never forgotten that day. I remember what I was wearing. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is the disappointing. I'd rather take the beating. Let's just whoop me and let's be done.
I think I would have rather taken, I don't know. You know what? I think what would have been worse for me, it was the beatings that I got, because maybe my brother was a little bit different, but I think I was smart enough where my dad could have talked to me, but he just never talked. He was just like, go get that belt. So I think if he took the time to talk to me, I think that would have been, I don't know. I think emotionally it would have been better, more healthy for me if he had just talked to me about it, and I think I would have gotten it and I wouldn't have repeated the same behaviors because it wasn't that bad. I wasn't stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew the belt would eventually come. But I think the talking would have probably been more effective.
So do you think that maybe your mom should have done the beatings for you? Was it because so it wasn't a dad thing?
Because we were the same height when I was in like 6th grade, so that wouldn't have worked.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so
and
funny.
we can't say that to moms, but you know, the whooping stopped hurting after like 8.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. What about now? Because my siblings are 12 and 8, and they don't get beat. No.
Because your parents are probably tired.
They are.
They're like, we done beat all these other kids.
Why do we have 2 more? Yeah. I look at them and be like, I'm so sorry, y'all. They do not get beat, though.
Are they good, though?
I mean,
do they need beating sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Like, it's an 8-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. The 12-year-old girl is like a genius. She's literally like Diana.
She's
but the 8-year-old boy needs a couple whoopings. Like, he does the most. Like,
smart mouths.
Yes.
That's what I'm seeing more with this
gosh,
generation.
smart mouth.
Really smart mouths.
So then what do your parents do to discipline him?
I mean, I hear more of the like I'll be on the phone and it's like they're yelling at them or something crazy. My dad's really good at. He's like I said, he's creative. He'll take away the keyboard instead of the computer. Like he'll take the keyboard. You'll be like, what? The keyboard's missing.
You can watch the computer screen.
Oh,
do nothing.
So funny. You're like, but I can't. What? It's ridiculous. So he's kind of like creative like that. But my mom be like, go get the. She still says go get the belt, but then by the time they get it, she's like sleep.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway.
All right, make sure you let us know what you think. Please follow us on and subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, and make sure you leave your comments in the comment section on YouTube because we absolutely love it. Let's get into some predictions for next week.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no predictions.
Yeah.
But I can't, because the thing is, it's not the type of show. It's like there's a thing every episode kind of.
Okay,
thing.
so what would you? Okay, let's talk about what would you like for them to cover in upcoming episodes.
This is so random. What if like Yara was a vegetarian and like talking about like food diets in a household?
That's so funny. I was gonna say food stuff.
Yeah, but just like how Black families eat, because we have all this unfortunate history of diabetes, this, that, third. So I'd love to see how they like Andre versus Bo. Oh my gosh.
Right.
I'd love that.
Me too.
I would love to see a little more with Dre and Zoe, like the father-daughter dynamic, because there's a whole new thing to explore there. And I think in Black families where a lot of people don't have their dads, it'll be good to see how they interact with each other.
Right.
That's awesome.
And you know what? What I would like to add is dating.
Yeah.
I want to see how they did, because I know in Black families we tend to be a little less what's the word? More conservative when it comes to dating, versus I know I had some friends growing up that weren't Black and they could go out on dates. They're like 13, 13, honey. I was like, I don't even know, like,
I can't even go to the movies by myself.
Girl,
right.
Oh no.
So I would love to see how they tackle the dating in their household, because I feel like Rainbow would be completely different. And so, like, yeah, she can do whatever.
And then Dad would not.
Can I just say, one, this show is amazing. Like, this episode was like, okay, I'm so happy.
Right.
Two, the fact that I just love this panel. Like, we all have these crazy, like, agreements and things that have happened. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be like, in Black families, I'm like, that happened to me too, that happened to me. And you don't get to always talk about it, because sometimes Black people be shady on each other.
Right.
But sometimes this happens. But it's just so funny how many things were similar. Like, you got beat with the switch, I got beat with the, whatever. So I just think it's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get the buckle.
sorry,
my
baby.
gosh.
That must have
I'm
been
calling
a
your mom
Southern
right
father
after.
Still
thing.
calling CPS on your family.
No.
Like, how many years later?
No, don't do that. Dad's great.
All right, where can we find you, ladies?
You guys can check me out on Instagram and Twitter at OneTakeStace and at LiveNaomi.com. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to tweet us all week with the hashtag Blackish.
All right, and I'm Tezeno on Instagram and Twitter. Again, same with her.
And as always, you can find me, Megan Thomas, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. And don't forget to check out my web series called Color People on YouTube. Just search Color People TV. Until next episode, people, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.